This is chapter 2 test review, starting with number 13. Here we need to find the equation for the line whose graph is sketched. And it's not said here, but I do want you to put this into ax plus by plus c equals 0 format. So you're going to start with either y equals mx plus b or y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And you're going to start with one of those formats based on what you have here and what's going to work. And then you're going to rewrite the equation so that everything is on the left-hand side set equal to 0. So if I look at my graph here, I'm going to look, okay, slope can be found because I have a graph of a line. And slope is found by taking two ordered pairs that go through the corners of the graph. So I've got 3 points here, or maybe 4 if you want to count the one at the very end here, or the one even here up at the top. And you can count slope between any two. And slope is always reduced down to the most simplest form of a fraction. But slope is rise over run, and that's m. So rise over run. So if I count from this point, let's say this point to this point. So I'm going to go down 1. That's a -1 for my rise. So -1. My run, I'm going right from where I left off, and I'm counting to the right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So -1 over 4 is my slope because I went down and then I went to the right. To the right is positive. If I was going down and left, those would both be negative, and I would have to count for two negatives to be a positive. So my slope is -1 over 4. The other thing is, if I can find the y-intercept, I'm going to do that. If I can't, I'm going to take any point on this line and plug in for x1 and y1. All right? So here, I've got my slope, my y-intercept, and that is at 1, 2, 3, 4. So b is equal to 4. So I'm going to start with y equals -1 over 4 times x plus 4 for my y-intercept. Okay, now I have that. That's a good start. Now I just need to convert that to be in the proper format from up here. So because I've got a fraction, I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything by 4. And that will give me 4y equals -x plus 16. Now I'm going to move everything to the left. I'm going to add the x, and I'm going to subtract the 16. So I'm going to have x. By adding x, I get positive x. With the 4y being positive, I'm going to put plus 4y. And then I'm subtracting the 16, so minus 16. Over here, these all cancel out. I'm left with 0. So this becomes the equation of the line in this format. So also, if you had a positive over here for x and you had to subtract, and this became negative, you should multiply that by -1 so that your a value is always positive with this final format. For number 14, I need to find the equation of a line through -4, 1. So that's a x1, y1 for our y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 format. And it says perpendicular to the line of the graph with the equation 3x minus 2y equals 12. What we're getting from this is what is my slope. And because we're talking about perpendicular, I need the opposite value and the reciprocal of whatever I get from this equation. So I'm going to put this into y equals mx plus b format so I can identify my slope. So to do that, I'm going to subtract the 3x. That gives me negative 2y equals negative 3x plus the 12. I'm going to write the x term first because that's how the form y equals mx plus b is written. And then I got to get y by itself. So I'm going to divide by negative 2. And that gives me y is equal to, two negatives make a positive. So positive 3 over 2x. 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. So my slope of the line given to me is 3/2. But the slope that I need to use has to be the perpendicular slope, which means the opposite reciprocal. Well, the opposite of positive is negative. The reciprocal of 3 over 2 is 2 over 3. So that is the slope that I need to use for my equation over here. So that's my perpendicular slope. All right, so now I'm going to plug in values. So I put y minus the 1 equals my negative 2/3 times x minus x1, which is negative 4. So I'm going to convert that to be positive 4. Now I'm going to, again, if I need to write this in slope-intercept form or ax plus by plus c equals 0, I will do that. Just understand what format that is asked of you. So we're going to distribute the negative 2/3. I get y minus 1 equals negative 2/3 x minus 8/3. Because I have fractions and after I distribute, I'm going to multiply everything by 3. That gives me 3y minus 3 equals, oops, I guess I don't want that there. So 3 times y, 3 times negative 1, so I get 3y minus 3. 3 times negative 2/3 is negative 2x, and 3 times negative 8/3 is just negative 8. I'm going to move everything to the left, so I'm going to add the 2x and add the 8, add 2x and add the 8. So you can see here, I'm going to have positive 2x. I have a positive 3y, and negative 3 plus 8 is positive 5, and there is my equation. If this said parallel to this line, once I got my slope, I would use the same slope. So I have to be aware and be understanding what they're telling me and asking me to do here. All right, number 15, global warming. Some scientists believe that the average surface temperature of the world has been rising steadily. The average surface temperature is given by the equation T equals 0.02 T plus 8.5, where T is the temperature in degrees Celsius, and T is the number of years since 1900. So basically, we have to understand that this entire study started in the year 1900. And if we think about when we started the study, T was 0, right? And so now let's think about all the information here. What do the slope and the t-intercept, as opposed to y-intercept, because we're using the value of t here. So the t-intercept or the y-intercept represent? Well, the slope is that 0.02. So the average surface temperature is, the slope is showing the rise over the run. It's the increase, the average increase of temperature. So the slope is the average increase of temperature each year. So the average increase of temperature each year. The t-intercept, if I think about starting, if I put 0 here, that would give me 8.5 as my temperature in times Celsius. So the temperature, the 8.5, it was 8.5 degrees Celsius in the year 1900 when they started this entire study. Okay, so that's what y-intercept tells us, is like our starting point of a function. Use the equation to predict the average global surface temperature in the year 2100. Well, if the study started in 1900 and we want to know the temperature in 2100, we have to understand that the time value it has is a number of the difference from 1900 to 2100. So I just take 2100 minus 1900 and I get 200. So my lowercase t value is 200. So I'm going to write in 200 and plug in 200 for the t. So my t, my capital T, is equal to 0.02 times 200 plus 8.50. Well, 0.02 times 200 is 4, plus the 8.5. My average temperature in the year 2100 is going to be 12.5 degrees Celsius. So in the year 2100. Whoops. And that's it. I'm done.